Hey folks, Jerry Stevenson. We are Facebook Living. Unfortunately, we're not in the Redneck BBQ Lab due to some unforeseen accident last night that shut down our power. We couldn't do the Facebook Live Q&A that we wanted to do, so we apologize for that. The actual irony of it was a septic tank pumping company ran into a light line and knocked the power down. So I guess there's a redneck joke there someplace. But anyway, welcome folks. This is just something that was kicking around in my brain that I wanted to do. We recently, as you may or may not know, we're on the Food Network and the Chopped production series of North Carolina Grill Masters. And it was a great experience for us. And I just wanted to try to answer some of those questions that you've been generous enough to ask me and text me and email and everything. So here we are tonight. First thing, I've got to say thank you to Mr. Mike Baker with Event Webcasting, who is doing this for us right now. He's a brother of ours, rugby brother that's just been around and doing this. And when he showed me this the other day, I was like, man, this is really cool. It's not just a laptop and a cell phone. So anyway, thank you, Mike, for doing this. And we really appreciate you being involved with this, a part of this. So this is episode 1, Bait Ain't Barbecue. So first thing I'd like to say is that I'm going to answer some questions you guys have. And the only way I can answer these questions is if you comment, probably right down below somewhere here, you say comment. If you'd ask me a question, I'll do my best to try to get some of those questions up and talk to you about what happened to the best of my knowledge. And, you know, that's completely up to you. Some of the questions won't be answered if some of my friends are on here, so that'll have to be answered in private. But anyway, I guess one of the things is the biggest question I got is that why did I go on? Because most people that know me, I'm a kind of private person. I hate using the singular when I'm talking about barbecue, the I and the me. That's not me. There's a lot of people out there that are I, me people, and I'm not. So they were like, why did you do this series? Well, the reason that I applied and I went forward in doing it was my daughter, who's a big fan, of the Chopped series. And she said, Dad, I'd love to see you on there. So I thought, you know what, man, why not? You know, it's uncomfortable. It's something that I never thought I would do. It was kind of pushing myself to try something. And so I went for it. We had a series of conversations with some producers that actually started out with the are you kidding me? You know, I couldn't believe you actually called me back to question me about, you know, was I qualified or did I really want to be on a television show? So there was a lot of back and forth stuff, and that's when I realized that it was all secret too. I hadn't really thought that part out. So everything that we were doing, it was kind of a clandestine operation. I couldn't tell my wife, I couldn't tell my kids, my family, nobody. So we went back and forth for a while, and finally got a phone call. This was back in January of this year that, hey, would you like to be on the show? And I said, of course. I agreed to be on a show. I had no idea what it was about. They just said it was going to be involved with grilling. We didn't know where it was going to be at. We had no clue what the theme or format was. And I basically agreed to something and sat back and waited. Several months went past. We found out that we were going to be going to New York City, which kind of surprised me a bit, considering this was supposed to be a grilling show and barbecue, you know, that we normally do outside and associated with something other than a kitchen, you know, in New York City. And it kind of stumped me a little bit, and later on I found out I wasn't the only one that was stumped, but it made sense. The network basically wanted us there, and they wanted us in studio. So anyway, I think I'll stop right there, and I'm seeing a lot of you folks on there saying hi, and I'm seeing a lot of you people on here that I'm like, oh boy, I hope they don't ask me a question. But I think what I'm going to do is I will answer a question. and just bear with me for a second, because like I said, this is our trial run. So I think, what do we got here? All right. Sorry, I'm sitting here looking at a question. It was kind of cut off. Like I said, bear with us on that. But let's try this again. Thank you. Very simple question. This is Miss Laurie Fink. Thank you. Would I do Chopped again? That was a very relevant question. I think I would. Simply because I'd love to have some redemption on this. It's been one of the things that kind of kicked around in my brain as soon as I left. I kind of wanted to go back. I explained this as being the most miserably awesome experiences I've ever had. Miserable in the fact that I couldn't tell anybody. I couldn't tell my wife, my kids, or anybody. But awesome was once we got there, when we got on stage and we started cooking, I just kind of stopped for a second, and I probably startled a lot of people because I didn't really move, but I just kind of looked around and soaked it in, and it was so cool to be standing there where all these other chefs had stood on that stage at that time with all these cameras and all these people, and I was like, this is really awesome. So I did soak a little bit in. So yes, to answer your question, I would be back on Chopped again. Oh, here's the question. This was really another good question that came up. Yeah, thanks, Tim. When we open those baskets for the very first time, it's actually kind of a thing. It's like, all right, ready, set, go. And you open the baskets, they're like, stop, shut them. You know, and you had to give a reaction. My first reaction was, what the, and not something my mom would have approved of came out of my mouth. And when I looked in there and I saw these little itty bitty fish, and I'm like, oh boy, here we go. You know, honestly, it surprised me. It took me by a complete surprise. I figured they would come at something with us like country ham or a hog jowl. It'd be in North Carolina, or pig feet, man. Give me some pig feet, or a cut of meat that I had to break down. So to see that little itty bitty delicate fish, something I'd never cooked before, and honestly I'd never eaten until that day, yeah, it caught me off guard quite a bit. So to say the least, yeah, I was very surprised what was in the bag, or basket, I should say. Here's another great question. Thank you guys, just keep them coming in. This is making me feel really good, just not only you guys to be on here, but feeling the love, and also you guys are asking all the questions that I was getting ready to tell you. My daughter is still a fan of Chopped. Was she crushed? Absolutely. My daughter's a competitor like me. We understand that the winning's not everything, but winning is the goal. My goal when I went on Chopped was not to make it out of the first round or second round or third round or even win this episode. My goal was to walk away from there as the Grill Master Champion. And that was one of the questions that was asked that kind of got left on the floor. They were like, Jerry, what would you do with the $50,000 if you win the Grill Master Championship? And I basically said, I'm not here for $50,000. And that sounds like a really stupid answer, but $50,000 is something that we can make in our lifetime. You know, it takes a lot of us, like me, a while to make $50,000. But the thing was, with the Grill Master Championship, that's what I was there for. I was there for that, for my daughter. So, like I said, that was my biggest regret. Probably not winning that for her and my sister, and my other daughter Fiona. I better bring her up as well. So thank you for that question. And yes, she's a little tiffed at the judges, which I was judged fairly, no questions whatsoever. But she is a little tiffed at the judges. So judges, if you ever do see this and you see this blonde-haired girl walking down the street, you may want to go on guard because she's a little hot. What was my favorite part about this experience? My favorite part of the experience, personally, was the fact that I walked up on national TV to show my daughter that if you dream it, you can do it. My daughters dreamed of being up there, both of them. So I did it to show them. I think my most favorite part of this experience is what we're kind of doing now. Once this episode aired the other day and this shroud of secrecy was lifted off my shoulders, man, it was like this 1,000-pound gorilla was like, get out of here. And I could start talking to people. And I've spent the last 48 hours just talking to people about it. And, you know, I've enjoyed that. I mean, part of what I do in life, part of what my job is it's not really to sell my product or sell anything like that, but to talk to people about what we do, how we do it, and why we do it, where I came from, who I am, and you know, and this is just another vehicle for me to be able to do that. Mr. King, great question. Man, you guys keep rolling these in, and I'll keep answering the best I can. Mr. Keene asked, it only lasts an hour on TV. How long did it take to film this episode? Basically, the way it worked was we flew into New York. We were given a time to fly in the day before we filmed. We flew in. We had to meet at this restaurant. I'm not going to say the name. I'm not going to tell you where this place was at or anything like that. But we all met at the restaurant that morning. That was the first time I met Melanie. I saw Adam walked in, and Adam Hughes. Congrats, man. Proud of you. You know, you are a grinder. Love the fact that you're representing North Carolina, Eastern Carolina boys, all about family, God, country, same background that I've got. Love that, Adam. But yeah, Adam King's walking in, and first thing I said was like, wow. I was like, you know, he's in on this joke or something. And then Chris Prieto came in, and we met there at 5 o'clock. We were rushed into this warehouse. We were offered some food and one chance to go to the bathroom. And then it was about like 4 hours of like interviews, and they would sequester us, is what it is. No cell phone. You know, you had to leave your wallet, ID, stuff like that. And they would take us one at a time, or a group of us, and we talk and we did all these interviews. And that's part of the narration that goes on during the show. So there was like 5 hours production before we finally got to the stage. Not to mention that we were filming a bio here in North Carolina that probably the guys that flew in from New York that filmed it, we probably spent a good 14 hours together. And then a couple of hours later, I was showing them around North Carolina, some of our favorite establishments in Johnson County. Let's see, let's take another question. I love this. Thank you guys for this. This is awesome. Mr. Tate, awesome question. What can I use from this experience to translate into building a better brand? That's a great question, because a lot of times when we think about like why we do stuff is we want something, you know, in return. For me, this wasn't money. It wasn't about our brand. I think the Redneck brand that we're pushing here in North Carolina is unique in itself. We're doing a lot of education because of the word redneck, and this is one of the problems that we had with the Food Network. Had some worries about this redneck thing that we're kind of doing being inflammatory, until I basically told them that who I was and not what they thought I was. So, you know, I think the brand itself, it was kind of secondary. I think it will build our brand because people are like, who is this guy? Or who are they, or what do they do? Which a brand should do. So I hope that answers your question, Tim. Let's take another one from Miss Manley here. She's got a good one. So Paige said, was it a competitive experience when you were in the chop kitchen? Yeah, I mean, you had 3 competition cooks. You know, 2 of us are grinders. We're out there every weekend competing by nature. And then we had an executive chef who, I mean, she's paramount in leading that kitchen, you know, here in town. So competitive, yes. I mean, we were all competitive. You know, the fact of the matter was the competition was kind of easier for me because in the end, it's like even when we lose in these barbecue competitions and your buddy or friend or your teammate or your family or somebody like that beats you, you're always happy for them. And in this situation, that's exactly what occurred, you know. It was one of these situations. It was like this last contest where Shawn Michael, Contagious Q, beat us in a competition. You know, we lost, but he won, and I was just as happy, you know, as we had won it for him. So this was the same way. It was competitive, but it's not the cutthroat. This wasn't. This episode wasn't. So hopefully that answers your question, Ms. Manley. Let's see. Restaurant expanding. I'll get to that later in Facebook. We're going to stick with CHOP. Thank you, Miss Hill, because I really can't answer that question. Let's see. Mr. Allen. Mr. Russell Allen's got a great one here. Is how did I prepare for CHOP when you found out you were on the show? This may blow some people's minds, but I really didn't think about it until the last moment. I couldn't tell anybody, so I couldn't prepare anything. After we shot our biopack, basically the first day we were doing some shooting where we're sitting there and we're like, you know, I'm Joe Bad Guy, whatever, barbecue professional and stuff, where you're shooting those little bits and pieces that they seam in. And then the second day of filming was actually where we cook food, where we present food, where they get the food shots and stuff. And the producer and the cameraman and the people that were working actually said, hey, who's going to help you? And it was at this point I was like, dude, I hadn't told anybody. So I told my sister, Roxanne Manley, who's also my competition partner, that I wanted her to give me a hand. And my brother-in-law, Sean Manley, ended up coming with her for the filming, and they helped out with it. And it was after that, my sister is the yin to my yang. When we compete, we don't talk. She thinks I can look at her and tell this stuff. Well, she kind of smacked me upside the head after this and goes, hey, you need to take this serious. Let's start doing some practicing. So we actually got together in this clandestine environment down in Jacksonville, and we did a couple tests with the CHOP stuff. And it was at that time I kind of realized, like, the time limits, the constraints put on you. You know, it all came together and became reality at that point for me. So that was one of the things that I liked, you know, I thought was cool. You know, it was one of the things, and I'm gonna call out Roxanne Manley on it. I hope to see her sometime come out and do this. And it's not that I think she'd fail. I think she'd do a lot better than I would in this. So anyway, so let's answer another question. It's kind of off topic, but it's kind of relevant to this because I brought up the word redneck. We started out competing back in 2011, and I was building smokers at the time. They were made out of barrels, or like trash cans. And I would talk to people about physics, and they'd look at me like I was crazy, you know, about how the backdraft worked and convection air, and, you know, heat rises, cold comes in from the bottom, and all this stuff. People thought it was crazy. And after a while, I just looked at somebody and said, it's redneck science, is how it works. And they were like, okay, cool. And I was like, wait a minute, you know, I can just say redneck science and get away with it. So that's what we were doing. As a matter of fact, we named the smokers redneck convection ovens, and people were like, okay, cool, we understand how it works. So the name redneck's kind of been synonymous with everything we're doing. When we left our catering business with Redneck Scientific and moved into the catering kitchen now, we conversely, we named the place the Redneck BBQ Lab to kind of keep that redneck theme on. And the word redneck to us just means a hardworking individual that, you know, it's got God, it's got family, got country, and barbecue, you know, as they're kind of the morals of what drive them each day to get up and go to work. So, you know, that's where the word redneck came from. So anyway, we'll talk a little bit about the CHOP kitchen because I got into it. I'll stop for a second because I'm kind of caught up on some of your questions. So when we flew in New York City and we're on set and stuff, you're sequestered, you're doing this, you're doing that, and finally they get you on set. When you get on set, that's when the reality hits that, you know, you're there for a show, it's time to go. So we get on there, and before they go out, they kind of prep you as to what to do, what don't do. And one of the big no-nos, as you know, anybody who watches CHOP, is don't cut your finger. If you cut your finger, you're pretty much eliminated. Anything it comes contact with, they wipe your board, yada, yada, yada. The other thing was like, don't break glass. With our episode, they were all about you grill or you go home. Your theme needs to be North Carolina. We were taken into the kitchen. We were able to go and look at everything. It was the first time we'd been in there. We were in there for about 5 minutes to go look at where the spices were, where the oils were, where the dairy products were, the sink, the ice cream machine and that. So we got like 5 minutes to look around, which was really cool, you know, because that's when you start formulating. You know, you kind of knew the stuff you needed in the order you needed to go. Then we had got to look at our stations and our equipment. Our stations were 2 grills, 2 lodge grills. It was a 6-burner stove, so you had lodge grill, a pot of boiling water, and you had one little burner to, you know, cook on, so to speak, if you were sauteing or pan frying something. We were not able to use the oven. That was just one of the things that they said, no oven. So, you know, that makes things a little bit more difficult for some folks like me. I don't remember if there was a microwave or not. That was the other thing. I can't remember because I wasn't going to use a microwave regardless of the fact. So, you know, that was just kind of the thing, the setup before we finally got in there and we started, you know, opening the baskets. When we opened the baskets, it didn't quite explain it to me, so I was kind of off. We opened the baskets and they wanted the reaction. I didn't know we were going to do this multiple times, and you know, by the time the 3rd or 4th time it comes around to finally open your basket and get ready to go, everybody just kind of starts taking off like crazy, and I'm just kind of like, are we seriously doing this? Are we ringing the bell? That's where the ringing the bell part came from. So anyway, I was kind of miffed that it was like, you know, hey, let's start this fight. No, let's stop. Hey, let's start this fight. Hey, let's don't. But quickly got over it. Once it started, man, we were in competition mode, and it was going. Somebody did the trout call out. Bait's not barbecue, man. Eric, bait's not barbecue. So once the episode started rolling, you know, the first, I guess the elimination appetizer round started rolling, man, things started just flowing for us. And we were all cooking, all going around and stuff. And my initial reaction was, you know, we had to do something in North Carolina. It was my grandfather, my father's fried fish and coleslaw, you know. And then I was like, it's a grilling contest, so kind of going back and forth while I'm, you know, getting the bones out of the fish and stuff and trimming stuff. So I finally, and it was probably where I made my first mistake, was I decided not to do what I initially wanted to do and went with the grill. So as we consequently know, I made a fatal error. I did not grease that grill. And anybody knows, cast iron, if it's not seasoned properly, it really loves stuff to stick on it, and it can be brutal. So it really was a bad mistake on my part, as we all know. I regret doing it. Yeah, I mean, but who knows? I could have fried the fish too, and it could have fell apart. First time I cooked mountain trout, really delicate fish, fire may have just blown that stuff up and I've turned in a plate of sawdust. So it is what it is. But anyway, when we go through that, and anyway, when you make a mistake in competition, one of the biggest things in competition is that we don't punt, we don't, you know, get scared or anything. So that part didn't bother me. I made a fatal error. My thing was to finish. I went through my head to make it simple. I dressed the coleslaw simple, just a vinaigrette. I did not try to do anything crazy. And just to get it on the plate. It looked like we were rushing there at the end, but I really can't remember any of my 3 competitors really struggling to get stuff on the plate. I think we were all kind of ready to go when the round ended, you know, and it's time's up. And, you know, when they said time's up, it's when you actually examine your food and you're just like, man, you know, I left a lot on that burner back there, which I did. So, regrettably, you know, that was my mistake. I own it, and I'll forever own it. Does it bother me? Nah, man. I walked out that door and I was good. So, whoa, Mr. Yelton, I'm gonna put this up there because this just, Mr. Yelton asked me a question. Do I look good in orange? I'll let you guys answer that. I think I look like a big pumpkin, and with my bald head, I didn't really like that look. I don't think it was very flattering. So, yeah, thanks, Mike. This shout out to Mike Baker with the quick skills here, throwing that up there on the screen and just kind of making me cringe once again. So the irony is that Jerry Stevenson I didn't go to the chop final, but Adam Hughes took a part of Jerry Stevenson in the chop final. My man knows what I'm talking about. I did get that hat back before he got back on the KCBS trail. So hopefully, man, that mojo just kept right on flowing. So we're going to find out, too. August 25th, Adam Hughes is going to be going up against, best that they got left out in Texas, Memphis, and Kansas City. Miss Stephanie's already on there with Adam, so we're going to wait for these next 2 episodes to see what happens. Somebody did ask a while ago, have I been watching? Of course, I'm going to watch, man. They're my boys, they're my girls, man. It's barbecue. We love one another. And even when we're competing against them, like I said, and you lose, you still pull for them, I mean, that's what barbecue's all about. So let me see, before I get to the judging round and all that stuff, see any other questions. Mr. Bobby chimes in. You were not allowed to fry at all? No, sir, we were. I chose not to. We had the fryer. We could pan fry and saute. I think some of the competitors chose to do this. I might have been wrong. I really wasn't paying attention to what they were doing. I think me and Adam were kind of joking about stuff back and forth, just to kind of some levity in that situation. But other than that, no. I mean, you could fry in a deep fat fryer or saute in a pan. It was your choice. However, they were adamant about this was a grill show. You will grill or get eliminated. And then the second thing was you will tie your things into North Carolina or you're eliminated. So, yeah, that's it. We could do it. Mr. Matthews, another great question. We'll take 2 more questions and then I'm going to go right into the flow. We're going to go to judging next and kind of what was said in the background and stuff you didn't hear. But let's take 2 more questions real quick. Mr. Matthews, is the jacket in the restaurant now? Nah, dude, they stripped me of everything. I couldn't even get out of there with a coaster that said chopped, a bottle of water that said chopped. No, you were pretty much out the door. They took the jacket. If somebody had to wear that jacket after me, I feel bad because that jacket stunk when I got done. I'll be blatantly honest. This is a really good question because my daughters have asked me that, and I have some family members that are ready to go to New York City and talk to the stylist, the producer who picked the basket ingredients. What protein do I wish had been in the basket? Obviously, anything other than mountain trout. The joke that was made in the back that never made the air was this was bait. This is what I used to catch fish with on the coast growing up. So anything other than that. I would have loved to have had that pork butt or something where I could have made a sausage, stuff that we do. Country ham. I mean, there's so many pork products. Give me the liver mush, man. Give a shout out to my buddy Bubba. Jack Chavis, I mean, he's the liver mush champion of the world, eating champion. I've watched him eat enough liver mush now. I know how to cook that to make it taste good. So that would have been really cool to me. But it's a cooking competition. So you have to be versatile. You just can't get the same stuff and expect to do the same thing. So, it is what it is. But yeah, I'd have loved to have anything pork, anything other. I'd have liked to have had, a shoe than mountain trout. So, guys, keep the questions coming in. I'm going to leave you here for a second and just kind of go into the judging part. So once we turn in your food, you guys see that, and you go up and you stand, and then you walk off in the room to the sequester room again, and that's where we kind of converse and stuff like that. I had a feeling my dish was plain Jane and I was in trouble. I knew I was one of 2. Not tasting the other 3 dishes, you have no clue. I mean, don't punt, you're always in the fight. You know what I mean? Take your licks, turn your stuff in. That's what we do in competition barbecue. So when we came back out, and we're presenting to the judges and stuff, my background's in psychology. I have a master's in psychology, so I can read stuff pretty well, behavioral psychology at that. So you could see they were not really pleased with what I put on the dish, and it kind of verified what I already knew. And we started to talk. Mark, Chris, they were really straightforward with the stuff and their assessments. They were dead on. They were right. It was bland. I'd left the best part of that fish laying on the grill back there burning. My salad was simply dressed. I'd used radicchio. I don't think that ever really came up. for color and to try to put a little pepper in it to spice it up a little bit. And that probably was offsetting too. Probably not the best of calls. And Robin came and she told me that it wasn't a North Carolina slaw, which I already knew, but Robin also said North Carolina slaw was red slaw, and I was like, oh boy, here we go again. So there was a big dialogue about red slaws and stuff like that you guys didn't see. I thought it was kind of cool. Shame it didn't make the show because, you talk about North Carolina barbecue, everybody's always talking about Eastern versus Western. Well, people are just as adamant about Eastern style mayonnaise-based coleslaw versus Western ketchup-based coleslaw, and it can get kind of livid. So anyway, yeah, that was part of the thing. And then once they judge your dish, you get the little dialogue. Mr. Stevenson, what would you do with $50,000? Well, you guys know what I said already. I wasn't there for that. I was for the grill master. But what they did ask, the most important question and what justified me going all the way to New York City and doing all this was the fact they said, why did you do it? And I knew why I did it. It wasn't rehearsed. It was just, the flow was there. I did it because of my mom. I was a starving guy in college. My mom's like, look, she taught me how to cook 3 dishes. So that was for Mom. My sister is my competition partner. She's the person that stands beside me. She's in front of me. She's behind me. I mean, she's omnipresent, in my life, in the competition world, and even in my restaurant world. She's right there with me, My wife Elizabeth, it's a wonder, man. I don't wake up every morning with big old knots on my head from her beating me because I know she thinks I'm the craziest person in the world with some of these ideas and stuff that I do. But she's always there to just say, do it. She's always there when I say, I don't think I can do it. She said, can't's not a word you use, do it. So, that was one of the reasons why I was there. And then the final 2 pieces to the puzzles were my daughters, Fiona and Elle. I just wanted to show them that they could do this. Don't be scared. It's something that, people are like, oh my gosh, like what I'm doing now, you can't get in front of camera. Well, if you believe in it enough, like God, family, country, barbecue, man, I can sit here and talk all day. And that was no different. It was a different place. It was kind of upsetting. It was something new. But, once we started talking food, barbecue, North Carolina, good to go. So, anyway, that was kind of the judging part. Let me grab a couple of your questions. Thank you, guys. Thank you. I'm going to try to answer as much as I can. My buddy Mike here, I don't want to keep him too long tonight, so hopefully he'll give me a heads up if I start running. Let's see, this is a good one, Mr. Allen Hughes. I'm going to throw this up here. Would I prefer the series would have been outside and use grill equipment? Absolutely, I'm not going to lie. It was disappointing. The production company was kind of fighting for us to be outside, but Food Network, who ultimately buys this episode from the production company, decided they wanted it inside. So it is what it is. But a competitor, it doesn't matter where, man. It's heck, I'd cook in a bathroom closet if I had to. Miss New, have I used vinegar powder before? Absolutely not. And let me clarify one thing, Food Network, the predominant vinegar of choice in North Carolina is apple cider vinegar, not white vinegar, but who's to say? Let's see, ever met the lady judge that was from North Carolina? No, that was the first time. I didn't even know she was from North Carolina. I'll just be blatantly honest. I didn't know who she was until they said she was from North Carolina, and kind of caught me like, I'm sorry, I should know you, but I don't, and I felt really bad about that. So anyway, here's another one, Mr. Dollarhide. Thank you. You've answered a bunch of good questions, and for that, you'll be getting something from me a little bit later. How did you like the judging format with the judges eye to eye with you over the blind box judging? It didn't bother me. I think the fair assessment is I love the blind box, what we do in KCBS. It's the Kansas City Barbecue Society circuit. I'll describe that real quick. It's basically we put something in a box with a number in it, and it's put on a table. Somebody else puts another number on it, and it's called a double-blind system. So by the time it gets to the judges, there's no name. They don't know who it is. They open up this plain styrofoam box that everybody has, and there's meat in it, and you're judged like that. In this format, of course, you're standing across your food, and these judges, they're doing their best not to go, oh, it's crap, or it's horrible, or stuff like that. So eye to eye, I think you don't get quite the initial reaction from folks, judging wise and stuff. Do I think you can be influenced? No. The best food won. My food wasn't the best in this episode, this chop episode. So I don't think it was influential in the outcome for me. However, these guys that do this MBN stuff, this Memphis Barbecue Network stuff where they put on a show for the judges, maybe so. We'll let them answer that question. They're coming up here shortly. Let's see. Here's another one. Thank you, Miss Bettinger. Once you walked off, you able to come back and rest on the set? No, once you were off, basically, you guys saw me. I mean, you look at the judges and you walk, exit stage right, literally, exit stage right. They shuttle you off in a room, you're sequestered, you go through this exit interview of probably about 2 or 3 hours of answering all these questions and stuff, and finally they remove your jacket, they push you out the door and say, thank you, bye. Not quite that bad. Production staff there is awesome. They are so professional, it's not even funny. They were so tired, it's like the 3rd or 4th episode they had taped in a row. They're so professional, it's so cool watching them do their business. But no, once you're gone, you're gone. One of the 2 things with my exit that left, a buddy of mine, Brandon Weimer, I wanted to throw a little nugget out there for him because, when you get ready to go and you're like, thank you, judges, thank you, for chopping me. I just was like, you know what, I want to say something different. It popped in my head right there standing there as I'm getting chopped that, hey, you know what, I said, like 2 brothers from North Carolina says, no hard feelings. So the Everett brothers comment got shot. And then we taped the exit twice. Some people probably think I was throwing up gang signs, but this is actually something I do to my kids. I do this and I point and I throw the 2 up, and it's my nonverbal way to tell my kids I love you too. So even when I'm throwing it at 1, they know they're 2. Both my girls are the same. So whenever they see this, which they may be seeing this right now, they know exactly who it's for and what it's about. So thank you for that question. Any plans on doing another Food Network show? You know what, man? The phone ain't burning up about it, but would I? Yeah. Absolutely, man. If they told me I could go represent Johnson County, North Carolina, and barbecue, yeah, I'd be there yesterday. Let's see, we have a really long question here from Mr. Faria that I can't see for some reason.
Put it up there.
Let's see what happens. Bear with us, guys. This is the first time we're doing this. Let's see. Let me see this again. Hey, I can see it. The judges basically, could you see that? I'll read it real quick. It basically says, when I was watching the show, it seemed like that the North Carolina barbecue, that the judges really didn't know that much about real North Carolina barbecue. Great pickup. Awesome pickup. This may be my best question of the night. Yeah, they didn't. It was our job to kind of educate them. They had brought in Miss Robin. Sorry, I can't remember your last name. She was kind of the expert to kind of fill in the blanks, the gaps and stuff right there about North Carolina barbecue. But it was our job to kind of educate these judges. They're professional chefs. Of course they know about Eastern Carolina barbecue, but it's like they still relied on us a little bit. Some guy threw a sauce out there that they kind of called out, and it was like, is this the real deal? And it's like it kind of told me right there that they did know what the real deal North Carolina sauce was, and this wasn't one, of course. So that was just one of the things that I caught. If you guys are on here, remember, it's part of your job to educate the judges. Don't come off as some pretentious, know-it-all, I, me guy. Come across as a gentleman that says, this is how my family does it, or this is how we do it at Sunday when I go to somebody's houses, or traditionally. Something with that non-assuming, I know-it-all role to these guys is probably the way this stuff should be presented. Um, let's see. Let's get some more. This is so cool. Thank you guys, man, for this. You guys are really important for not only me, Mr. Baker, Mr. Mike Baker here. Let's see. What was the best thing you were able to take away from this experience? Two things. One, 11-year-old girl told me that don't let anybody tell you the sky's the limit when there's footsteps on the moon. The other thing is, I think I've shared this with you guys. Anybody that read my diatribe that I did right after the show, right after I was chopped. Basically, man, the thing about this experience, it just justified the fact. I'm telling people all the time, you know, we stand on the cliff of life like getting ready to jump off of it and we're scared, you know, because it's a normal human reaction. But sometimes you got to jump off that cliff. You got to be willing to take that risk. I tell people in competition, I'm willing to risk everything to win one thing, you know, to win something. And this is kind of the same way. You got to treat it the same way. I use the metaphor, you know, the only way to hit a home run is to step into the batter's box. And you know what? You could strike out, but who cares? You know, you crawled in the batter's box. So I took that from that experience. It just basically reinforced all of these thoughts that I've always had in the back of my brain, the stuff that fuels me in everyday life and competition, and the stuff I like to pass on to my children. And hopefully some of you guys maybe pick up on some of this too as well. Let's see if we got any more questions here, and then I'll talk about it. Paige, would you ever? Thanks, Mike. I missed that one. Hosting a Chopped series on the YouTube channel with families and friends. That's already been set in motion. There is going to be a showdown between Mr. Sean Manley and Miss Roxanne Manley, and I'm going to be doing the boxes. Kind of like what you guys did to me. We're going to be doing it at Christmas. So we may end up doing something like this on YouTube. We may not. We'll see. But it is in the works. It's going to happen. I can't wait to do it. Can't wait to see it. So yes, ma'am, we are going to do something about it. Let's see. Advice I would give. Here's a good one, man, because Mr. Hamilton asked, you know, what advice would I give to the up-and-coming young pitmasters? I'm going to tell you kind of my philosophy on learning, especially with the barbecue, and a lot of you guys already know what it is that barbecue, there's no one right way to do something. So if somebody ever tells you that they're a professional, that they're perfect, you ever hear somebody say perfect barbecue, they're not telling the truth. Barbecue is an imperfect science. What we do is we try to control, contain, and keep it as consistent as possible. So with that being said, with people who are starting out cooking barbecue and are becoming pit masters, I have to tell you, you have to burn a lot of meat before you get it right. You have to ruin a lot of stuff before you get it right. Just like that mountain trout I ruined. I promise you, the next time I go to cook that mountain trout, it won't be what I did last time. It'll be better. I know what my mistakes were. The first thing is admit you made the mistake, realize what mistakes you made, and then use it later on to grow, to try to figure out how to do something better. So my advice to you young pit masters is go out there, try. You're going to fail. It's inevitable, you know, but learn, realize what you did wrong, and then next time try to minimize those mistakes, you know, keeping it in an orderly fashion. And that's how you get the consistency, and that's how you start developing your profiles and your products and stuff. But you'll never be perfect, man. Anybody who tells you they're perfect in barbecue or they cook perfect food or it's perfect is not telling the truth. So, let's see. I think, all right. So you guys got some more questions. Just keep them coming in right now. I'm just going to talk to you a little bit. Basically, I told you guys like how the judging worked, and now that it's over, you know, and you're doing all the background stuff and you're talking and stuff, and then you're done. You're out the door. I did not know, you know, none of the pit masters we talked about who won, like Adam, or anything like that. So we didn't know any of the outcomes. I think looking back on it, that was one of the biggest things, if anybody's ever doing this, was the secrecy part. Withholding information, like with me from my wife. It was like, man, I had cheated on her, you know, with this mistress in New York, and I couldn't talk about. And, you know, my kids are constantly asking me once they found out that I'd gone to New York to take this, you know, Dad, did you win? Did you win? Did you win? Did you win? You know, and you can't say it. So be prepared for that, if that ever comes up or anything like that. So, anyway, you know, I think I pretty much covered everything that I've had to say about my episode. That these are the most relevant questions that people have asked me, is what I was telling you guys. If you guys got a few more questions, hit me up real quick, a minute or two, and then we're probably going to shut this thing down. This episode 1, Bait Isn't Barbecue. Mr. Mike Baker, man, with event webcasting, this is awesome. This picture that you guys see behind me right here is on the back of the Redneck BBQ Lab. My brother-in-law painted this on the back. I drive up every morning, I pull up, I see this sign, and it puts a smile on that face. My man put it back here, so every now and then I'm taking a glance at it, and it just puts kind of a smile on my face. It makes me feel good. But let's see. Oh, here we go. Mr. Strickland, this may be our last question right here for the evening. This is funny. Did you or your family talk, yell at the TV while watching the episode? My extended family in Jacksonville, my sister said she walked out, was so mad. I know they weren't happy. Guys, I apologize. It is what it is. I chose to watch it at home with my 2 girls for the specific reason. It was a selfish reason. I wanted to share it with them. It wasn't something I wanted to do public. I wanted to be there with them, not only to console them. My oldest daughter, Elle, was like, Dad, you got chopped and appetizer around before it even judged. And I'm going, baby, it hadn't happened yet, you know, or it happened, it may not happen, you know. And I was there, but I also got to watch them, and it was just really cool. I didn't have to talk with people, and I know it sounds selfish, but I got to sit there and key in. You know, their eyes are this big. I see these smiles and little tears in their eyes, and you know, my wife's cutting her eyes at me like, yeah, and I'm like, you know, and I'm just poker face through it and stuff, and that was really special. We were doing a lot of yelling. We were doing a lot of screaming. I'm yelling, you know. I'm sorry, I'll put, look, Western North Carolina barbecue, Eastern North Carolina barbecue. I'll go on record here tonight. I don't care. I love it. Whole hog barbecue. There's not a lot of barbecue out there I haven't met. But when it comes to slaw, I'm sorry, guys. I'm an Eastern North Carolina boy, born and raised on Duke's mayonnaise. And if you put that red stuff in my slaw, you have ruined it. So I really said something about that when that kind of got mentioned. But yeah, other than that, it was really, really good time. So anyway, guys, listen, appreciate y'all letting me do this. This was really awesome. I hope I didn't waste a lot of your time saying what I said. Hopefully you guys got something from it, got a little closure. We appreciate you coming, and one of the things that I'd like to do is give a couple giveaways here. We've got the first question that was asked actually was Miss Laree Fink, I believe is who it was. And we got a couple bottles of sauce for you. Why? Not only because you're awesome, but I've always said I need to bring you some sauce. Let's see. The other one I think was a t-shirt that we were giving away, and I forgot to write the name down of it. Oh, this is horrible. It was Mr. Tate was the brand question. Mr. Tate, I'll need your, Mr. Tim Tate, I will need your t-shirt size, and I'll get you a t-shirt. And Mike, do you remember who the other person was? I swear I was like, best question of the night, and I'm drawing a blank. Was it Rich Hooten? No, I hope he's not on here. Sorry, Rich, love you. I'm gonna find it. There was somebody that I said on here, and like I said, this is the first time we've done it. I probably should have written it down, but I will give that. What? Russell. I can't. Which guy? All right, you're coming up. Russell, you got a $25 gift card. Anyway, guys, thank you guys for once again tuning in for this. We'll probably end up doing some more of this later on. Stay tuned. We'll let you know when it comes up. But thank you guys for your questions. Thank you for your time in watching this. But more importantly, man, thank you guys for kind of being there. I've loved the fact that I felt like I went to New York City with an army behind me. And y'all were a big part of that. You know, when I went representing North Carolina, it just wasn't a state, it was a group of people. And you guys were that group of people I was representing. So I hope even though I didn't do great, you know, didn't have the outcome I wanted, hopefully, man, I did you guys justice. And, you know, thanks, love you.